All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another week, another episode, another week, whatever you want to call it, of Theorycraft Thursday. Of course, I'm your host, Ursi, and I'm here with fellow host. Some would say co-host, others would just say host. Who knows? Who cares? Proud, of course. Hello, Proud.
Yeah. Hi.
Perfect. All right, we are substituteless this week. We had Gruddy come and help out last week, but
Band's
this week
back together.
We have reclaimed our rightful positions. Even though I was on the podcast, it's still like you feel a little weird when your main co-host is not on. So we are back in full form, as they say. So I guess as always, how's your last week / 2 weeks in Dota been, Proud?
Pretty shit. Pretty fucking awful. I got
sounds like my week in Dota.
Yeah, I got up to my personal high. It was a little bit above 49, and then just straight down, just straight fucking down. So I could taste it, and then it's gone. Strangely enough, I won every jungle lone druid game I got forced into. I didn't pick it. I would just pick lone druid, and then someone would pick off lane, or safe lane, or mid. But I'm almost thinking I just jungle lone druid at this point, because it's kind of stupid. It's super hard to disrupt, and it doesn't lose. In pubs, don't ever do that in a real serious thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat where, I'm just a broken man. I also hit my personal high. I hit, 4708, I think it was, and that was really nice. And then, that was 2 days ago. And then yesterday, I lost 7 games, 5 of which were ranked.
Oh, no.
And then today, I lost... I won an unranked, and then I won an unranked party that was 23. Then I lost an unranked I lost a ranked party that was 25. So I was -2 party despite going 1-1. And then I lost a solo queue where I actually got a safe lane. And I've just I always preach not tilting on the podcast and on Twitter and stuff, but something about Dota recently has just been ruining my fun.
Yeah.
It has been miserable. Every game does not feel close, right? We all have those games, even if you're a really good player, right? You win maybe 60% of your games, and the other of the 40 that you're losing, it's some are just stomps because realistically it's gonna happen. But for me, it's felt like every single game has just been we just lose, and then I know we've lost at 5 to 10 minutes. And then you just lose slowly for 30 minutes, and you're just forced to sit there, and it sucks. I'm so tilted.
Here's the trick to make that bearable: practice 500 games on a building destroyer that can build Desolator, and just do that as soon as the game looks dicey, and then just maybe you can backdoor an Ancient through backdoor protection. You never know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the classic thing that I stole from Skrunk that people now attribute to me, but is one of my favorite sayings, just after every losing streak comes a winning streak. But it seems like after both of us went on winning streaks to hit personal highs, now we're on losing streaks. So
yeah,
it's
more like a winning streak of 3, losing streak of 10, but the mantra is still true.
Yeah, it's just terrible. And it's it's the reality of Dota. It's that's just how it is. Realistically, losing 7 games sucks because it's in a row more or less, but in the grand scheme of things, I have 4,000 games.
On the plus side, my .p in-house this week was pretty fun. Got to play PA. It was a good PA game for once. Really rare to have a good PA game, but Battle Fury Deso, good stuff.
That was a fun game to watch. I didn't cast that game, but like you said, the in-houses, as I'm sure people that don't show up to these are sick of us plugging them and talking about them all the time, but they're so fun, and they're actually really good games, generally. Every once in a while you get a stomp, whatever, but they've been really good time. And even
my game
if
was
you're
an
not
hour long. It's pretty even if you get to an hour.
Yeah, that's what I've always said, is any game that goes past an hour or up to around an hour it has to be by definition a good game, unless it's a techies game, but that doesn't really happen anymore. But yeah, so that's Dota for us, I guess. We've talked about it privately, but we try not to, when we have terrible, when we're just tilted and just Dota's just being awful. It's just it's not a fun conversation to talk about, but that's how Dota is nowadays. And hopefully, we won't get into it yet, but hopefully our combo this week will bring some winning to the both of us.
Right.
because we need it. We need some catharsis. Actually, that's not catharsis, but anyway.
No, that's not the way to use that.
Yeah. What have you been playing solo? So you've been playing Lone Druid, obviously, but have you been playing anything else?
Some Lone Druid, and then there was the losing streak where I was like, fuck, something's got to work. So it was like Lone Druid, then Sven, then Slark, then Lone Druid, then Venomancer, then Spectre, then Sven, then Spectre, then Lone Druid, then Phantom, then, it's been rough, man. A lot of my games have been, like, all my Spectre games, it's been like, I get Aquila, Drums, Phase, Radiance by, like, 21 minutes, like, really fucking nice. But then just, like, the games are not there. It's like, the Spectre games are just really weird. Like they lose for one reason, and then every other game loses for a reason that a Spectre would have won that game. So like you pick one hero to fucking plug one hole up, and then the next game a different dam is broken, so you got to plug that hole with a different hero, and then you just never cover all your bases.
Yeah,
I guess it's very sad.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I know like this kind of in reflecting, because obviously like when you lose a bunch of games in a row, like yes, on one level it is not like they may not have been entirely your fault, but clearly, like, if you've lost a bunch of games in a row, you need to, like, assess.
Oh, yeah.
You need to reassess. You can't just say, like, as much as you may want to, and as much as it may be true sometimes, you can't just say, like, man, my teams are just terrible, and they've thrown my last 7 games. But, like, you're the common denominator there. So, in reflecting on these games recently, I've just been, like, really... Like, I was really confident with my play, like, a week ago. Like, I thought I was playing really well, and these last couple days, like, I've just not been playing. I've not been happy with my own play, and it's been reflected in my MMR, clearly. And to be fair, I've also had, like, some really bad luck with teams. But I
feel like it's like by the 5th loss, you just have to accept that you're tilting and you're playing bad. Because, like, there were games where I was just like, wow, that was actually just stupid, and I only did that because I was upset.
Yes, that's definitely it. Like, Again, like yesterday I was streaming, and that's where I lost like 5. No, it was 6. 1, 2, 3. It was 7 games in a row, but 5 of them were ranked. And it was just like I played the first game, and I knew like it was like it went okay. But then by the second one, like I was clearly tilted, and I should have like cut myself off. But I didn't.
Man, just one more win, just one more. Exactly. That'll make. Well, it all you're like, okay.
I'm like, people like. It's so silly when you're from an outsider perspective, but it's like the classic gambler's fallacy, and I always fall for it. I'm also a very superstitious Dota player because I'm an idiot like that. But constantly I'm just like, oh, I've lost 5 games in a row. Like, I deserve a win right now. And I'll queue up, and I'll be like, my first game of the day, but I'll still queue ranked because I'm like, this is going to be my day, my time to shine. And then it's like, all right, minus 25. Perfect. Thank you, Valve. And, but yeah, so that's Dota. There's not that much to talk about. Nobody wants to hear our sob stories. But I've just been supporting, and as much as I'm a firm believer in the fact that like if you want to climb, you can do it as any role. Some roles may be easier than others, but that's a whole another metagame. But even supporting, like sometimes it's just freaking miserable. It's like I'm trying to like spoon feed the proverbial child, and he's just like wiggling his face and just getting it everywhere, and he just doesn't want it. And that metaphor got really weird. But yeah, I'm trying. I make all these stacks and I do all these things, and then they're like, nope, I don't want it. And I'm like, take the things I give you, please.
I'm sorry, I gotta cut in. There's I was just kind of like reviewing my games. There's one where I was playing Spectre, and this was like I lost a lot. I took a break. I came back, played a pretty decent Spectre game, but team just kind of wasn't there. Not like the other games where like a lot of them were. I was playing poorly for one reason or another, but this one was just kind of rough. And then I just look at the match, and then there's a comment on it, and it's our Nyx, who was like, he spent the 15 minutes bottom getting outlaned by an OD, just like not rotating, and he just posted dog shit Omni spammer. Just so, and there's like one downvote on the match. Like, I thought I was tilted, man. This guy is not happy with Dota.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother level when you go like the next level. Like, so in my last game, I was playing Slark, and our off-lane Quap, not surprisingly, just fed out of his mind. It was complete garbage, and our Windrunner tried to rush a Maelstrom because she thought it was like 6.82 or whatever. Right. And our roaming supports somehow did not roam into the jungle to stop the Legion Commander from free farming and coming out with like a 6-minute Iron Talon Blink, which is an asinine build that somehow still worked because our team was just such a mess. And then, man. And then it was just like no matter what happens, I had like an actual point at the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
The spirit breaker that I like, again, I was a bit tilted by the end, and I was like, it won't hurt anybody if I start flaming here, because realistically, like, I need to just like, you need the cathartic flaming.
There we go. There's the correct use.
Yes, perfect. And I was just telling him he was like an idiot, and we both kind of mutually agreed that it was all like mostly just the co-op and the Windrunner, but still, like, you gotta have your inadvertent flames. But he friended, or he didn't friend me, he party invited me after the game to talk to me and be like, yo, you're an idiot. And I was like, yo, this is a bit much. Like, I get it, you're trying to prove your point. And, like, I try so hard to not flame because, like, I have .p in my name, and, like, what if somebody starts to listen to the podcast and they're like, yo, that guy flamed me in a pub game. But on another level, I don't care. And that guy, like, some people are just so bad. It's, ugh. Okay. Anyway,
after the 10th loss, the standards drop a little bit. That's definitely understandable.
Yes, and pretty soon I'm going to get to the point where I'm just going to have to spam like some cancerous crap and just be like, all right, I'm just going to play Omni for the next 50 games.
Dude, Omni's so fun though. He's like the most fun hero in Dota, honestly. He's so fun.
I feel like I'm karmically punished every time I pick Omni Knight with an OD on my team. Because it's just like I've lost with it like 3 times now, and it's funny actually. I think all my games with OD, if it's on my team, we lose, and if it's on the other team, they win. I think there's probably like a 0% win rate with like OD just in the game. Period. For me, I had a 5,400 guy in a round draft game. Pick OD first. And oh my god, I want to find this game. I don't know exactly which game it is.
There's 2 types of OG
he went Mask of Madness.
Now.
I found it already.
That's weird.
He went Treads, Drums, Dragonlance, Mask of Madness, and he had an Ultimate Orb. And it's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, ugh. Okay, all right. Anyway, let's just end this, and we're gonna talk about our future. So, what are we gonna be playing tonight, Proud?
What did we say? OD? No, not OD. We just talked about that. Phantom Lancer Lion. That's what we're gonna do.
Phantom Lancer Lion. I like it. Lion's a hero we've seen. I don't know how much of the major you caught on, but Pile Die's Lion was like by many considered to be MVP, and I have been thoroughly enjoying Lion play. I'm excited to play this combo. I think. We've talked about it before on the podcast and privately and in in-houses and in casting, etc. But probably the best way to win games consistently is just be like, hey, let's just pick a bunch of disables. And when you have a bunch of disables, things can only go so wrong, right?
Yeah, and that's like any time I'm playing core, and that's really like when someone picks a lot of stuns and you're playing core is when it feels so terrifying. Like I'm playing core, they first phase pick Lion and Earthshaker. And then I'm left looking at the pick screen. I'm like, okay, what hero? Like, no hero is like, oh, stuns, awesome. This is fun for me. Like, you just see it, and you're like, okay, I can't pick. I can't. There's no hero for this situation.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's something we always talk about because we have like all these, even on the show, like in our duel lanes, we have all these like combos where it's just like, you know, they have these kind of semi-gimmicky but intricate interactions when, like, in actuality, it's like, hey, just pick, like, Sven Rubik or, like, Sven Lion or any other carry with a stun, support with a stun. And it's just, like, it's a recipe for success, right? Like I said, like, things can only go so wrong when the enemy team literally can't do things. It's like, all right, it's simple. So I'm looking forward to this because we have, right, the nuking potential of PL in the middle to late game, the nuking potential of Lion, of course. But then disable, mana drain is crazy good against certain offlaners, especially like, you know, Tide Hunter. If Tide Hunter is trying to zone you out with Anchor Smash,
that's true.
We might not be able to kill him, right, because he's tied. But I can just drain all his mana. Same thing with the Bristleback, although you don't see Bristle much.
No, we can kill Tide easy. I'm gonna doppel. What is his? Is it just Doppelganger? His PL's new W?
I think it's just Doppelganger. It used to be Doppelwalk.
Yeah, no, it's Doppelganger. Yeah, I'll Doppelganger the Anchor Smash, and then I'll still do full damage. It'll be super easy. I'll just do that real quick.
Or he'll like juke you out and he'll force it, and then he'll like Ravage and we'll both die.
That'll be great.
That would be pretty sick. We're not playing Tidehunter in our
I want to
combo.
say, in regards to Line Earthshaker, that the PA game that I played in the in-houses, that was why I picked PA. Like, I was so fucked for a single carry to pick against those heroes that I was like, is PA my option? Like, what? I guess I have to do PA. And that was the option. That was correct. But man, if you're forced to pick PA, like that's a very scary support duo.
Yeah. Again, like, we're not picking Tidehunter, but Tidehunter offlane has been so much fun for me recently, and the hero's so good right now. We've kind of talked about it on other shows, so I won't like harp on it. But if it was like if I was solo hosting tonight and it was just me, which would never happen, but I would just be like, hey, we're gonna play Tidehunter offlane because that crap is so good. I'm all about it.
I feel like just like any offlaner that gets an absurd amount of farm is really good right now, and that's kind of why Void may be falling off a little bit, because like Tide Man, like that hero fucking farms. Like he also he's physical damage, so he can do stacks like most other heroes can't really do anymore. So yeah, he's just crazy. Any offlaner that can kill Ancients, man, that's some good stuff.
Yeah, and like, you get zoned out, whatever. You just buy an Iron Town and you go and you jungle the small camp, and then or the medium camp, then you stack the medium camp, and then you stack the Ancients and.
Large camp, Jesus.
Yeah, whatever. Large camp.
It's Beastmaster too. Like whenever when you're watching the major, you see their offlaner. Like most of the time, the offlaner for the winning team is like second on net worth, and it's like pretty crazy because that's 3 is supposed to be 3. I think that's how that one's supposed to work. But it's normally either like maybe the carry is fighting out. Like if it's Alliance, your 3 is your 1. And then a lot of other teams, like if your 3 is doing well, your 3 is also your 1. It's pretty crazy. Like when you have Tide and Beastmaster and Lone Druid as offlaners, like they're so farm dependent, or not farm dependent. They just generate farm. And then you can, if you have that, you can pick a mid like Puck or whatever, something that does a lot of cool shit, but doesn't scale quite as much because your offlaner has that covered for you. Yep.
All right. So PL is a hero that we see not terribly often, but also not what is the word? We see him sometimes, right? He's not one of the he's not one of the heroes you see constantly. He's not your Spectre, your God-forsaken Juggernaut, but you see him still. You still see him a good amount. What build do you like on PL? Because there's a lot of like division in the PL pickers community, myself included. I play a not insignificant amount of PL, and some people, they like the Travels build, where they go like Aquila, Travels, and just farm a ton. Other people, they like the fighting build with like Treads, Drums, Diffusal. What are you all about? I'm sure, like, as always, we have the precursor of like everything is situational, but what is your preferred build?
So PL is a hero that I keep my builds pretty open until I really know how the game's going to start. If there's only one bottle user on the team, and we're good at securing bot rune, I'm going to go bottle on him for my regen item. If not, sometimes I'll get a flat Mask of Death. Sometimes I'll get a Vlad's if it looks like we're going to push early. It really sucks to go Vlad's on PL, but sometimes it's like kind of the right call.
I love it, actually. But
it's so expensive, and it's no stats, and it's pretty rough. But I mean, yeah, it's not the worst thing ever. But yeah, so you're always going to go Aki. I pretty much never go drums. If I want to go a fighting build, I'll go like Treads, Aki, Yasha, Diffusal. I'm just not a big drum fan, honestly. Like on carries, just the aura is so much of its utility, but like the stats of it just, I don't know, I don't feel like are quite there. And then if you go Aquila drums, like Diffusal's so good on PL. I mean, that's the whole hero. So any item that delays Diffusal, I feel like it needs to be there for a really good reason, or cheap, like Aquila. So yeah, I like Aquila a lot. It's normally some variation of boots. I go boots most of the time, like brown boots. You get that, so it's like, I don't know, boots, Aki, and then I see how the game's going. If I'm like free farming, I'll just get like bottle and then Travels. Oh yeah, if I go bottle, Travels is pretty good. So you just go like boots, Aki, bottle, and then either treads, casual Yasha, Diffusal Manta, or Travels, casual Yasha, Diffusal Manta. That's pretty much always the path. And I like Heart a lot. Heart a lot after Diffusal. I was kind of down on it for a while, but Heart is really good.
I'll echo your build. That's generally what I do. Again, like I like Vlad's. I kind of admit, like, you're 100% right. It is like a lot of money to be funneling into an item that doesn't actually give you stats, and that's always a hazard of it. The same thing with like games where I'm trying to be all like fight a lot, and I just get a Diffusal where I'll have like treads Aki Diffusal, I just feel like I'm so squishy, and that's why I like to have the drums, where it's like I'll have like drums that's 9 to all stats, and it's a bunch of other things, and I've kind of become a drums buyer. I used to be really against the item. I know it's an item that is divisive because some people really overvalue it, and other people really undervalue it.
I've started getting it on Spectre, at least. That I've yielded to.
Yep, me too. My Spectre build, I generally do the phase, earn, drums, Yasha,
yeah, I'm
Radiance.
just accepting that exists now.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Sometimes, you get lucky and it's just like, all right, cool, I just free farmed for like an hour, so I'll just have like phase, earn, Radiance, or like phase, earn, whatever, Yasha, Radiance. Anyway, this is not the Spectre podcast.
Too bad.
That's the Monday show, actually. That's the Spectre podcast. Although Roland has been branching out, much to our surprise, and we're proud of him for picking heroes that are not Spectre. Anyway, definitely progress. On Lion's a hero that I feel like benefited a lot from the introduction of Aether Lens, which is an item that I've really enjoyed picking up on him. He's not a hero I pick a ton, to be honest. I feel like I should play him more, honestly. Like, when I'm talking about my MMR woes, I could probably just, like, spam Lion, and that would be something. Because he can rotate, he can do all these kinds of things.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of my core supports.
Yeah, that's very true. But Lion nowadays, I think the build is totally, like, Tranquils and a Wand, and then you either, if you're having a good time, you can just go straight Blink, or otherwise you can go Aether Lens. He's weird in that he's a hero that consumes a ton of mana. Obviously, if you've ever played Lion, you feel mana starved, and you're like, boy, I want mana boots, and then you think for like another 10 seconds, you're like, hey, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But which is kind of different from a lot of other supports, because he relies so much on mana drain, of course, but it's such like unless you're like a Lion player, which I would not claim to be, it's not like intuitive. Like, you're not in a fight thinking like, oh boy, I should be mana draining. It's more like I should be chasing.
You're like throwing a couple right clicks for, that +7 base damage buff that he got. It's actually pretty decent. His damage early game is like, it's there.
Same thing with Jakiro. That was like the Jakiro buff, and I was like, dude, that's crazy. And then nobody picks him, so whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, Blink Dagger is huge in him, Force Staff, Aether Lens, like we said. Aether Lens kind of helps him in that now you can get a full rotation of your spells off without having no mana. Because I think, I could be wrong, because again, I don't play this hero nearly enough, but at level 6, you can't actually use Impale, Hex, and Ult without mana draining anything, or having like
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Or like you can just barely do it.
It's definitely on the edge. It's definitely not the case that like if you stunned and you're still missing some mana that you can combo. That's definitely not the case at the very least.
So Aether Lens is going to help out those woes. Mangoes are nice. Yeah, I'll probably be picking up a mango. Although we'll see what our team comp is, and if I have to buy all the support items. And he's definitely like one of those supports where smoke is crazy good on him. Like, smoke's always a good item, right? But some supports, it's much better than others, right? If you're playing Venge or Lion or Earthshaker, it's like, all right, cool, let's get a smoke. Let's smoke to mid or smoke bottom or smoke top, whatever. But some other supports, you're like,
Keeper of the Light, not the best smoke carrier, it turns out.
That's actually a good talking point I wanted to bring up, which conveniently you did. Coddle PL is like a classic combination, and it feels like. Also, I hate Coddle. Hopefully we have a substitute. So I'm really glad we're not playing that combo because God, I hate that hero. Anyway, what do you think are like the downsides to Coddle PL, and like why do you think a support like Lion is a nice matchup with PL compared to picking like a gimmicky Coddle PL lane? Because that is like the classic lane combo where it's like, oh, let's just run Coddle PL and spam Spirit Lance.
Yeah, when I was like actually playing unranked a lot, like before ranked came out, and just like dual queuing with someone, and they liked Coddle and I liked PL, so we just like picked it a few times. And it was like, it's good if you're like in that kind of MMR where you fight dual lane versus dual lane nonstop, and like lane sustain actually matters, not like, did I kill them? If not, then nothing matters. If not, then, they just regen and shit. But yeah, if you're doing that like War of Attrition, then it's like, it's good to win that. But beyond that, it doesn't go that far. Like, Illuminate, you kind of want it to level 2 at least. Like, it's a really strong spell, honestly. Yeah. And then, like, Mana Leak is also super good now, so, like, you can't put that much into Chakra Magic, but you need at least, like, 2 for it to be decent. And, like, I don't know, it's just so gimmicky. And then past that point, like, Coddle kind of bottoms out pretty heavily. And then if you're tri-laning, like, Coddle can't really stay in lane. He needs to, like, stack and do jungles or stuff. And then maybe the other, I don't know. It's just, it's kind of awkward, and it's a nice idea, but, like, Coddle needs to get Chakra Magic to level 2 for it to actually start doing things. And for that to happen, he needs to be level 3. And so your combo isn't actually happening until you're, like, 4 or 5 minutes into the game, which is not super ideal.
Yeah, I definitely think it falls under one of those combos that's, like, gimmicky to the point where, like, it's a win the lane, lose the game combo.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those where, like, yeah, it's fun.
Agree.
And we've run some on the show. Like, Pudge Omni comes to mind, where I think they actually won that game, so it's a bad example.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's gimmicky in the lane, and it's like, all right, cool, we're going to win the lane and really bother them. But at the end of the day, like, you're still running Pudge Omni, and it's like, well, like, where do we go with this? And you just kind of hope the other lanes are going well. Anyway, I feel like we had to address that.
With the old Coddle, or with the old PL, it was actually a lot better, because, like, the PL, the Cancer Lancer, like, he makes one army. So, like, you could do that one lane, and then Boots of Travel to another lane, and then have Coddle, like, recall you to another. So, like, the recall was actually really good. Like, you could just push super aggressively, or, like, recall you back. So there's a lot of stuff with, like, being in multiple spots on the map. But now that that's, like, totally different, you can, like, Manta and then do that, but it's just not... It's not like super unique synergy that they used to have together. So now I'm not into it at all. But before, if you play it really skillfully, like, it had some applications late game.
Yeah. So, someday we'll play a Call combo, and I think the hero is cool and fun. I just think he's garbage. And some of our good friends would disagree with me. Roland and Cyphus, of course, their famous climb to 2K was based entirely off of, like, Coddle bristleback stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the only cool thing about Coddle right now, I think. Like, Mana Leak is cool, and then, like, bullshit with Chakra Magic reducing cooldowns. Like, that's really cool.
Mana Leak is actually, like, one of the, like,
skill, man.
It's such a sleeper ability, right? Like, you get Mana Leak and you're like, all right, I don't care, whatever, it's a Coddle, who cares? And then, like, you walk 10 units and you're like, all right, I can't cast any abilities.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing a game and there was a Juggernaut, and I was like, he was doing really well and everything, and then he just got Mana Leaked, and he was just like, all right, he did not get an Omni Slash off for like 10 minutes unless he started the fight with it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, all right, you never expect Mana Leak. It is, you never forget. Or anyway, that's the thing.
Scary spell, turns out.
Yeah. On our actual combo, do we have any closing notes before we get into the game? I think.
Yeah, I just would, like, the overall kind of, like, thought behind it is just, like, PL kind of has a lot of reach as a carry in the lane, and Lion kind of, like, comes out of nowhere and does damage all at once. Like, you can look pretty passive with PL, like, you're not doing anything, and then, like, Lion comes from the side, and there's a fucking Earth Spike, and then PL uses his passive to just, like, charge from, like, 0 aggression to, like, instantly there, and then you can lance from, like, one of the furthest nukes that a carry can throw. So it's, like, it's pretty good in general in that regard. And then, like, PL is just, like, a lot of disruption. And then if he's, like, making a lot of chaos in a fight, Lion comes in with an AoE stun while they're, like, all focusing on trying to find the right PL, and they're all disorganized. So it can be cool. And then Finger of Death from long range, Phantom Lance from long range. It's good stuff.
So, as much as I was about to start closing off this what is your PL skill build? Because I've seen so many different skill builds on this hero. I feel like everybody does one that's different, and I'm always undecided. Like, I generally max Q, and then I'll go like Doppelganger at 2, and then Spirit Rush, or whatever the heck it's called, Phantom Rush at 4.
Spirit Lance, Phantom Rush.
But then again, like, I've seen people that, like, they keep, like, they only get 2 points in Spirit Lance, and then they get, like, extra points in Doppelganger, or they get stats, and it's just like there's just so many different builds. So what do you do?
I'm pretty firmly into maxing nukes on almost every hero. I've stopped doing it on Sven. I've gone to the 2 points in stun for the farming, but on PL I'm still like. Yeah, Spirit Lance is so strong, and it's a 7-second cooldown, and, like, you can get enough stats that you can use it. And if you go bottle, like, you have a shit ton of Spirit Lances. So I max Spirit Lance. And then I'm into 1 point in Doppelganger at 2, 1 point Phantom Rush at 4, like the standard shit. And then I normally get about 3 points in stats if I'm going travels. Maybe I'd say 3 to 4 if I'm going travels, 2 to 3 if I'm going fighting. And then you just kind of max Doppelganger after that. Sometimes I might put like 2 points into Phantom Rush before like finishing Doppelganger completely, because I feel like that the difference between like the 12-second cooldown and a 600 to 700 range is the difference between like getting 2 off in a fight or just getting 1 at all. And then like after that, taking it from like 2 points to 3 points isn't quite enough. Like that won't be 2 in a fight. It might be like 2.5 on some fights, something like that. So I feel like that's like a nice kind of breakthrough. It hits a nice sweet spot, but in general, like somewhere between 2 and 4 points of stats after getting 1 in everything while maxing Spirit Lance is good. Oh, and I skill ulti at 6. I don't know if that's kind of my own special thing.
I've always done that.
No, everyone does. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's that. So let's hop into the game. Right. You can watch the game on .ptv1, which is our YouTube channel. I'm not sure which of our perspectives it'll be in, but it'll be there in some capacity, and it'll be fun to listen to. Or watch, probably, because, it's video content.
Or listen to it, maybe you're blind. We don't want to be exclusionary.
You're right. Okay, I got nothing.
Yeah, all right, that's a good transition.
Yeah, I was like, boy, should I make a blind joke? Then I was like, nope, that would not go over well.
You should not.
Perfect. All right, well, on that note, let's cut to the music, and then we'll see you on the other side.
Yep.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the second portion of our lovely podcast of the night. We just got out of our game. It was exciting. I'm excited. We won. That's the spoiler.
We did actually win.
And really, that's the most important part of the whole thing,
it's
right?
The only takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, chiefly, Proud and I, we may masquerade as other things, but chiefly we are both tryhards, and
I'm pretty sure I'm not masquerading as anything.
That's true. That's true. I may, at times, masquerade as somebody that enjoys the game of Dota, but let's be honest.
You are an avid masquerader. I've seen the pictures on Facebook. You just go around in a mask.
I have many a mask. It's a good time.
At least 6.
At least 6. I'm adding to the collection. They're surprisingly expensive. Any amount of there's a lot of bedazzling involved, and those.
You know where you should go? The Happy Mask Salesman.
Perfect. All right. Well, before I do that, we will talk about the game, I suppose. Again, of course, we played PL Lion, and I think Proud and I both, if you listen to the VOD, the early game was what some would say absolute garbage. And
I played like shit.
I am in the same boat. We're in a boat that travels... I don't know. There's a metaphor in here somewhere. Whatever.
I don't care. We played like shit.
It was a pretty crappy boat. It was like
it was a shit boat.
There are leaks. All right, here, metaphor time.
Is this really how? Okay.
We're traveling in a boat, right?
Jesus.
And there are holes in the bottom of the boat, and they're not holes that are from other people. They're literally just us, like accidentally dropping stuff and just poking holes in the bottom of our own boat, and making it harder for us because we were both not playing well. But then,
that was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's many years of
I'm glad we
college.
waited for that.
Yep. They get better every week somehow. Anyway, our boat ended up getting to its destination, and we did win, but not without the help of our incredibly toxic invoker, and pretty much nobody else. There were some nice echo slams. I guess, to start off, we'll say our team comp was PL Lion bottom. We had a roaming Earthshaker. We had a mid-invoker, and we had an offlane weaver. And offlane weaver is a very accurate term, because that guy almost never left the offlane. And
did he ever at all? Like, actually?
I think he showed up to, like, one fight.
Yeah, maybe we 5-man, like, one spot or something.
Yeah.
I would say, though, when we were mid, he was, like, on the top part of that lane. It was still, like, basically top.
Yeah. He tried, it was like, he was... like magnetic.
He was Broodmother, just as Weaver.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the good Broodmother that fights mid, the bad Broodmother that just sits.
Yeah, the opposing team, they ran a really nasty duo lane against us. That was quite problematic. Their offlane duo lane was Slardar Skywrath, and boy, that was miserable. That was a
wasn't fun.
really like it was just fight at us constantly, and like it didn't help that like Lion is really squishy, so he would just run me down, and that was not fun.
Yeah.
So that was effective, but then again, like they fell off eventually at a certain point.
Did they
Then
fall off the boat, or did it fall off like their boat?
yeah, their boat was like if it was a race, they were like wrecking us in the beginning, and then like they got overturned by a wave, and
Okay.
then they drowned.
That we made.
Yep. Their top lane was a dual lane. It was Spectre because 6.86.
Why would
And
there
it was
not be one?
yeah, exactly. And it was first pick like right off the bat, and Sand King, and that went. They like kept trading kills with the Weaver. Honestly, I wasn't paying that much attention because our lane was such a an event. And then mid lane was a Necrophos that just fed out of he didn't feed out of his mind, but like he was getting there. He fed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And honestly, thank God because Necrophos, what a hero. He did get a couple ults off that made us dead for like a year, which was cool.
Yeah.
But that's that. What did you think of the game?
Yeah, we played this like, super bad. The tri lane had like zero communication, so like you would be somewhere and then like dying and I wouldn't know what's going on, and then I would like go to the fight, but it was like already over, and then I just missed like 2 waves of experience, and Earthshaker comes in and throws like 1 stun and walks away, so I keep fighting because I think he's there, and then I die. It was just pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It was really bad. But we recovered after that. I kept trying to do silly plays because I was like, man, I'm behind. I got to do stuff. But then eventually, you know what happened? I didn't do anything, and I farmed the jungle, and then we won. So
Yeah.
that's Phantom Lancer. He's pretty fun. I actually like Phantom Lancer a lot. There's like a lot of cool little farming tricks you can do on him. So that was basically the entire interactivity I had that game was cool farming tricks. Oh, and I still had a Spectre so he wouldn't Radiance burn me and kill me, and that was fun. But that was about it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I dodged the Sand King stun with my Manta. That was also the best thing that game. That stopped me from dying, and I felt pro as fuck.
Yeah, I that's like half the fun of Dota is like doing those little things that nobody's gonna notice, but
Yeah.
like you internally you're like, wow, that was like the sickest play I've ever made.
Well, that's why we're on voice chat. That way I can tell you every time I do something that, affirms that I should stay alive.
Yeah, boy, I recently that's a tangent we don't need to go on because I don't actually remember the story, but every once in a while I just do the sickest thing. It was on stream too. What was it? Whatever. Somebody remember. I'm sure somebody knows. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, somebody's gonna tweet me.
Play burned into their memory. The day Vicinity.
One of
the thing.
Yeah, it was probably one of the games where like I fed out of my mind, but I did one good thing. Anyway, that's a tangent we don't need to go on. So Lion was fun this game. It was like we said, our like actual laning stage. So this is a combination that really like it came online in the mid game. Once like we were doing like 4-man pushes with Weaver at the top lane, of course, because where else would he be? And we were fighting a lot. Our Invoker got way ahead because Necrophos sucks, and Invoker is a good hero. And Invoker did a build that I love, even though again this guy was like super toxic. But it comes with the territory. He was a mid player, so a inordinately large amount of mid players tend to be just huge jerks. Anyway, he did the Necrobook build, which I was really happy about because that's a build that's criminally underused, I think. It's so strong. If you go just like double Forge, and nowadays double Forge you can get it at 8 instead of 9, which is actually a big difference XP-wise. And you go double Forge, and then with 4 points Quast, your Cold Snap is really strong in the first place. Then you add on the fact that you're you're hitting with double Forge, also Invoker, and then both of the Necrobook units, and then you can Alacrity yourself and take Roche, and it's wild. That build is so strong,
and
you
go
Midas
pretty fast too. Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
when I used to play Invoker, I would go that build a lot, but I went like the Eternal Envy variant where you get a medallion really early, so you have like medallion double Forge spirits, and like the casual Sage's Mask is always nice for Invoker if you're not like going Yules or something like that. And you just like do that into like sometimes you go like Necro 1 into Medallion into Necro 3, or Medallion into straight Necro 3, and like it was super good. And now that Necro 1 is actually good, I think maybe I would do that again.
Yeah, I really like that build. I think if you're going double Forge, It's really, really good. I mean, it's not, excuse me, it's not something you'd ever do with like Quas Wex, but when you're doing Double Forge, it's just like it's like the zoo builds they have for other heroes, and it's just a lot of fun. I would advise it. And this is not an Invoker combo episode, but it's definitely something to take into consideration if you're an Invoker player and you're looking to diversify and not just go Orchid every game or Yule's Strike, whatever. It's a very, very dominant build, and you can really snowball like this guy did. So that's something to think about. In this game, I know from my Lion perspective, neither of us were super well off because our early game was so like
Yeah,
it was constant
and it
fighting.
was like it could have been fine. It's just that like we did zero communication, and like I went to try to help wherever this fight that shouldn't have happened was, and missed like the waves experience.
Yeah, it's one of those times where like you have one bad fight and that really like sets the stage for the rest of like the next 5 minutes or something. And even
Yeah,
though like at a certain point, like I think like the fight after like immediately after that we got 2 kills in return. So it was like it kind of
yeah.
equaled it out, but it's still like mentally and it gave them enough levels that they could be like Skyrath could do Skyrath things and it's just annoying. But
It just made it awkward and made it difficult to like understand exactly where we were as far as
yes.
like how ahead or behind we were.
Yeah, but so I had to do some kind of like triage because I was super poor. Like nowadays, supports, well, you don't know, but supports get so much money compared to how that used to be. But like this was a poverty game if I've ever
Yeah,
been in
I
one.
even made you buy me a TP.
Yeah, and I was like, I was gritting my teeth. I did it because I was like, he's worse off than me, but I still didn't want to
Yeah,
do
and you
it.
know what the sad thing is? I was so out of it that game, but like I was dying, but I was like, oh, I have enough mana for brown boots, so I buy brown boots. And I'm like, shit, you have money for a TP? I could
Yeah,
have just sold the brown boots back. I didn't even think of it at the time, but it's like could have just resold that TP and then bought them at the fucking side shop. But nope, I had to fucking take it from you.
yeah, it's fine. It is what it is. But so. I had to do what did I do? I went Tranquils, Magic Wand, and just like a bunch of TPs, and I had wards. Skyrath bought an early gem, which is something I've long spoken about in CAS and possibly on the podcast. But one of the things I'm most confused by slash impressed by when I watch like pro games and really high level like 6K plus MMR average games is that supports buy gems like super early relative to like how you would see a gem in like a 5K or lower game.
Yeah.
Because and even when there's no invisible heroes in the game, right? Like we had a Weaver on our team, but that's not like the hugest deal. But he just bought a gem and they just took map control at a certain point and it didn't work out for them, but like theoretically it was really good. And that's always something I'm fascinated by, and I know that's something I need to work on
It's like
with my supporting.
it's the support divine rapier. It's all your
Yeah,
money, it's all of it,
yeah, of
and
course.
it helps so much. But god damn it, if you die, man, that's not okay.
Yeah, and he did a smart thing because I was actually looking for the gem after we won it. Like we 5-man wiped them. I don't think we lost a single hero. We had like a really good Echo Slam. I had like a 3-man Impale, and you just ran people down on the back lines, which was great. But we're like, oh, the gem must be back in like the trees somewhere. But then it just wasn't anywhere. So it turns out he did like the smart thing, and he went out and he did like a full expedition to deward and clean up everything, and then he just put the gem in base or on the courier or whatever. And even though he died, he didn't lose the courier or he didn't lose the gem. So that was cool. That's
We
something I
actually
admire.
This is something that RTZ does a lot on Lycan that I started doing. But like if you have Necro, like a Necro book on your team, you can
Yeah, you
actually
just
just
send
like
them.
summon, yeah, just like send them around. It's way better with Lycan because they have like 700 move speed, but
Yeah,
it's still pretty decent to do it. Although you better make sure you don't feed them because that's fucking like 400 gold.
yeah.
It's
Arc
don't
wardens do
feed
that
Necro units. Yeah,
as
it's
if Arc Warden needed to be a better hero.
yep.
But yeah, so that's kind of that. I went Force Staff, and then I went Yules because I kept getting
Yeah.
silenced, and I would just get silenced and killed. I honestly don't
Why
think I
not
used to.
Manta?
Yeah,
There's
I
your
was
Manta.
well. Originally, I was going to build a Glimmer Cape, and then I didn't because I was thinking, I'm silenced, and even if I Glimmer Cape, I'm still going to get killed. But there were enough
Especially
things to
because
use on.
you're like already amp damaged by Slaughter at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the other thing is Slaughter amps damaged me, so it's like, all right. I mean, sure, I'm taking less damage from magic, but I'm still visible, so I can't like do
Yeah.
kiting things. So that was rough. That was another thing I spoke about in the VOD, and that I was really interested in this combo was it made Skyrath way better because they had the constant vision from the Slardar amp damage.
Yeah.
So like kind of the weakness of Skywrath, as someone who plays a good deal of Skywrath, is that like he has so much range on all his abilities, but especially if it's nighttime, it's like, who cares if you have so much range if you don't have vision, right? So that's why when you're playing like a hero like Skywrath, you want to have aggressive wards so that you can do that kind of stuff, or at least aggressive from where you can go, which is kind of a very general term that I won't go into since we're not playing Skywrath. But this really accented the Skywrath mage's range, and it gave a lot of information, which was nice. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
I suppose. What else? I ended up.
What was your skill build?
I went Impale, Hex, Mana Drain, and then I went back for Impale twice, and then I ended up with 2 points in Hex and 2 points in Mana Drain at one point.
Yeah, striking that balance.
Yeah, and then I maxed Hex because at that point I think I had my Yules, so I had a little more mana, so I didn't need to Mana Drain as much. Or no, at that point I had my Force Staff, so I had my first Staff of Wizardry, which is like another 150, 200 mana. And so yeah, I wanted to kind of ride that line of being able to use all my abilities, but not over-investing into
and
Hex.
You were also saying to yourself, you were like, PL has Diffusal. Maybe Mana Drain isn't the best skill to have right now. That was the thought that you had.
Absolutely.
I know that was definitely in your head.
Thought number one.
Yep.
The other thing from that was the Mana Drain was really nice against Spectre. Spectre, because you blow up one illusion with Hex, you blow up another illusion with Mana Drain. Actually, it's a little less. It's a little less climactic than blowing up, but it's more just like hello,
just poof away.
Which is nice. Although still, I had 800 health at like level 14, so like I would take one Desolate thing from a Spectre illusion to take the Radiance burn.
Okay, that's enough.
Yep,
We're
and
done.
Like, all right, cool. I'm almost dead.
Just stop.
But yeah, so that, I was pretty happy with the line game. It was rough in the early game because again I was very squishy, but as the game progressed, it really worked out. It panned out. I'm pretty content with it. I definitely like just playing this game. We talked about it on the first part, but disables are just so good. Like I really, it's hard to beat disables, right? Like even when you have combos, like we compared this combo to the Coddle PL Classic combo.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good your combos are. Like disables are just so good. Like you can have like the most interesting synergistic team in the world, but if it's 5 heroes that like don't have disables, like what the heck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, somebody's just gonna run over you.
That tri-lane where you're dueling we're against, like, the whole amp damage sight thing is super cute, but what is Slardar and Skywrath going to do? Like, how does that help you when you're both stunned and then hexed? It doesn't. You're dead. That's all that happens.
Yep. So what do you think about from the PL perspective?
I think it was decent overall. If we just like played the lane better and just like made sure I got level 3 and played kind of passively until then, and then just like went for kills and shit, it would have been good. Like the Skywrath is Skywrath is fucking PL food, man. Because I can lance from like forever away and then charge from forever away, and then you can get in range and Shaker could get in range. But just like if there was a little bit coordination and we didn't just like do silly shit and feed the first wave, and
I actually fed
waves
too,
after. Yeah, it was just unfortunate.
Well, I don't know if you noticed that and that's what you're referencing, but I literally just like, it's one of those things where you do it and you're just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But I was just like, I was out because I fairy fired, and then I had 48 health, and I was like, all right, I don't think he has a spell. I'll walk in and I'll like impale or something. Yeah. And I walked in and just got arcane bolted to the face and died. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so just if the lane went a little better, we could have abused PL's strong early game because like I really like PL's early game. Lance is just so strong. So that would have been cool. It was just kind of weird game. You had enough disable and disruption in the team fights that I could, just do whatever the hell I wanted, which was pretty sweet. And I was like solo killing people after like you gave me a bunch of space, and it was good. This combo does really well when you have an invoker carrying you as well, I find.
Yep. That does tend to help. Our invoker was quite good. Although he was incredibly just like toxic and annoying. But he still played pretty well, and he made a couple like really divey plays. And it was one of those things where he was trying to lead the team, and instead of realizing that we weren't following him at certain points, he just kept leading. Like, it's a weird mentality, and I'm sure I get it sometimes. But you're like, all right, the right play here is to go down mid, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go down mid, and they're gonna follow me. And then your teammates don't follow you, or they get distracted, or something disrupts them on the back lines, and then he would just like died mid. And they had a Necrophos, he died for like 120 seconds, and then they pushed to tier 2. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, I get it that you wanted to make us push, but we weren't pushing with you. It's not our fault that you extended too far and died.
He just wanted to go down with the ship, man. He's a seasonal sea captain. He's
playing the wrong hero then.
Got to stick by a ship.
Yep. So I mean that's kind of what that was. Again, like we kind of reiterated, but it's combo went well. I definitely plan to play more Lion after this game.
Yeah.
Early game, I had a couple points where Impale is one of those abilities. I play a ton of Nyx too, which I should like know this internally, but for some reason I wasn't thinking. Impale is one of those abilities where if you can ground target and you can hero target, and when you hero target certain times that's advantageous, and then other times it's way better to be ground targeting. And there were a couple fights, one in particular where we smoked and ran into their smoke, and they were all funneling down this area, and I clicked to hero target my Impale, and I died. But if I had manually clicked in the middle of the pack, then I probably would have just casted it and stunned like 3 of them, and we still won that fight anyway, but we would have won it by a lot more, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things you got to be cognizant of.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that and blamed you for the rest of the game in my head.
It's fair. It's fair. It really is. I actually, and now that I think of it, you went Mango at level 1, correct? You went like Stout, Tango, Salve, Mango? Yeah.
That's every almost every hero, melee hero that I play, I do that. And then ranged heroes that buy Bassi, I do the same thing, only not a Stout. It's a real protection.
Nice. Okay, but here's my question. You had to use that Mango during like the first or second fight, correct?
Yeah, it was stupid and I hated it and it sucked and it didn't do anything. Because I was level 2.
Yeah. Do you ever rebuy mangoes? I've been conflicted on this because sometimes I do it and it's like the sickest thing in the world. And then other times I do it and I'm like, why the heck did I do this? This was a terrible idea.
I would never do it on a core. I do it on support sometimes.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering because that's something, again, I'm very conflicted.
Maybe on a Juggernaut. Because the way I play Jug is like you have to get your skills before you're like, until you're like, once you're 7, you can start doing stats. But like, man, your skills are fucking good. Yeah. And if you do that, you don't have enough mana to spin and Omni. So I just buy a Mango to deal with that.
Yeah, I had a Jug in a game that did the exact opposite, and he never had a Mango, and it was just like, okay, he never used his abilities. But
yeah, C2I play.
Yeah, but C2I, he's actually off eHome now. He got kicked. Or let go, whatever the politically correct term is. It's rough.
Let it go.
Anyway, well, after how the major went for the Chinese team, so that is not at all surprising.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of our combination. I think that's about it for me. Do you have any other closing thoughts? Any interesting synergies? Any proudisms to spout?
I don't know. Peel's like a blue cat.
That's true. Oh, fun fact. In Dota 1, he was Kimari from Final Fantasy X.
Yep.
He
was the first custom model, right?
No. He was the only one that stayed. So, or I think the only one that stayed. So, Dota, there was just Dota, and then Dota All-Stars came, and Dota All-Stars was when it was good, but in original Dota, almost every character had a custom model, and they all looked stupid. There's one of my favorite heroes from the Dire, or what is now the Dire, what used to be the Scourge. Now I feel silly. Yeah. He was just a tank. It was literally just a tank was on the Dire team, and that hero got deleted. And that's when Ricky used to be a ninja in like a full kabuki costume.
Nice.
But yeah, and then once Dota All-Stars came out, they simplified it to all like the nice Warcraft 3 models, except for PL, who had like a Kimari skin from Final Fantasy X, because Final Fantasy Open RPG, or no, one of the other Final Fantasy games had like somebody made a Kimari skin and they just stole it.
Nice.
And, so yeah, he was the only one with a custom skin for a very long time. I don't know how long that continued. I don't know if they.
I know Ancient Apparition was like when he came out. That was the first new model that came out while I was playing.
I don't even remember AA.
Yeah, he looked pretty similar. Just like he had big bulky shoulders.
Okay. Anyway, it's one of those little fun facts you get from Dota 1, and the fact that Final Fantasy X is a good game. and we should all play it. And whatever.
Just for the tightest laugh.
Yeah. And what's the name of the sport?
Blitzball.
Blitzball. Yep.
Yep.
God, I hated that.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually never played that game. I watched a lot of it, but never played it.
That's the same experience, right?
Right.
The yeah. Anyway, this is not a not a Final Fantasy podcast, but
yeah,
it could be very well. Or actually,
we should make it a Fire Emblem podcast because I'm kind of wishing I was playing it right now. I may actually next week just like play it during the podcast.
That makes sense. I'll play Marvel Puzzle Quest while we podcast. Okay. You could play Fire Emblem. My Marvel Puzzle Quest team is getting so good. God bless. All right,
I want to hear about this.
Yeah, well, you're a comic book guy, so you'd appreciate it. Anyway, we've gotten on some weird tangents. We've talked about boats. We've talked about other things. But let's do some plugs. My dad owns like a dozen boats.
Oh my god! Can I hang out with you guys? Dude, I love the water.
We're super into fishing. Anyway,
okay.
I say we, but it's mostly him, and I used to.
Fishing is great. Can I be his son?
You can come over. We'll hang out. You can be our adopted child.
Okay. Dude, I'm a really good adopted child.
Or I suppose you wouldn't be our adopted child. You'd be his adopted child and my adopted brother.
You sure we couldn't make that work?
I'm fairly certain we couldn't.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But anyway, let's talk about some plugs. You can watch the game that we just played on youtube.com/.ptv1. That's a numerical 1. That's where all our stuff is. We put videos out there. Lots of stuff. The in-houses. You can find our in-house streams in their full duration on there and find your game or whatever. And our website, defenseofthepatients.com. You can find everything there, including our Amazon banner that you can click to buy whatever weird things on Amazon. If you're going to buy a boat on Amazon, you could click on that, and you would pay no more money for your boat, but you would instead just give us a little money, just for fun, just for free for everybody except for Amazon. They
don't poke holes in that boat, just for we tried, didn't work.
Poke holes in the boat, and then when you buy stuff to fix the holes in the boat, then you do that through the Amazon banner too.
Through the banner, okay.
Yep. You can follow us both on Twitter. I am at Ursinity. It's nice and simple. Proud is at Proud Dota. Similarly nice and simple.
A little bit less simple, but still pretty simple.
Well, it was more specific.
I do know.
Mine has many things that are not Dota on it, which is it deters many potential followers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, not you though, kind listener. You should follow me. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
You can come to our subreddit r/defenseofthepatients. That's where all our new releases, etc. come up. You can email us at defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. Again, as we say every week, many ways to contact us. You want to tell us how you guys did this lane and how it went well, how you just fed out of your minds, but then it still went well, kind of like our game. Let us know. And yeah, as we always plug people, or as we always plug it, in-houses, Thursdays and Saturdays, 9 EST. They're streamed on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/.ptv. Also, there's regular streams, mostly from Roland and myself, on our roads to the next 1,000, March Madness, etc. Those are always a good time. Sometimes I get tilted because I lose 7 games in a row, and that's how that goes on stream.
That's the life.
But we also stream the in-houses, and even if you're not playing, just come hang out, flame the players on Twitch.
Yes,
and it's a great time. It's super fun. Proud and I both cast on a regular basis,
and we're great. Really, just the best. Really, the best. Just
honestly, I don't know why other people cast. Let's be honest.
They're fucking stupid.
They're trying though. Let's be honest. Everybody just wants to.
It's good to try, man. I have Singapore rice noodles waiting for me. I'm so happy.
Boy, that's exciting.
Right?
Yep. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
And on that note, I think we're done with the plugs. So you picked perfect timing to bring up your lovely Singaporean rice noodles.
Yeah, I did.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, just remember, everybody. Remember.
Every one of you, listen.
Perfect.
Now.
Remember, it's our theory, and it's probably your fault.
Yours.